What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Happy Friday. What's happening, brother?
What's up, man?
Here, man. Ready for, huh?
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
I'm just ready for another week, man. Another weekend, I guess.
Another weekend.
I'm done. Yeah. I'm done with this week, actually. It's been a crazy week, but we're happy to be here, man. Campos Capital Group. My name is Danny Campos from Atlanta, Georgia, with my boy
Ken Board, North Carolina, Charlotte to be exact.
There you go. Welcome, everybody. REI Happy Hour every single Friday, 5 p.m. We get on here and talk a little bit about real estate, investments, the market, loan programs, a little bit about everything. And we have a specific topic we're going to cover today. So we're going to share some of that. But obviously, we do all of this talking next to a nice little brewery.
Or distillery or
distillery. Right.
Exactly. It matters.
Any of the above. So let us know where you're listening from. What city, what state, where you're investing. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, thank you, everybody, for joining us. And everybody's going to listen to this later on. We appreciate you guys. Any questions you guys have, feel free to hit us up with any questions. How's your week been, Ken?
It's been good, man. But this music, I feel like I should be meditating right now. You know, I don't know if you can hear the background.
Really?
Mellowing me out a little bit. I probably need that. No, don't turn it off. I liked it.
Gotta hype it up.
I was liking it, man. Like you said, it's been a crazy week. I was kind of like enjoying the relaxation.
Right? It's kind of like get ready for the weekend.
Yeah, no, it's been a good week, man. I think I've been saying the same thing for I feel like since the beginning of the year. I mean, I don't know about you, but a lot of ground up requests.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like 2024 is the year of ground up. That's what I'm going to call it.
It's the new sexy, man.
It seems like it really is.
Yeah.
It feels like that's the new trend. I feel like last year in the beginning of the year, maybe it'll change. It's still young. Yeah, the year is still young, but I feel like the beginning of 2023 was multi-unit. And, you know, because the interest rates went up and a lot more people were renting, rent rates were going up. I feel like people were really trying to take advantage of multi-unit. But for some reason, this year has been ground up.
Yeah.
A lot of people trying to get into it or at least want to learn about it, right? At the minimum. Always questions about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man.
That's what I got. That's my piece for this week.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's been a little bit of everything in reality, you know. A lot of cash outs. People are really trying to get trying to see where they can land with you know, however this interest rate is gonna trend in the next couple of months. But I have a lot of my clients that are they're really trying to cash out on their properties, trying to get their money ready for some, you know, whatever's gonna happen. And that's the way you kind of have to work the market, right? We say it every week. I feel like it that if you don't roll with the market, if you're not driving with it, you're gonna stay behind, you know. And then that's obviously it's when most investors I see is when they actually quit the game. Like, it's not for me. Well, you're not rolling with the punches, man. You know, you're not going with the market. So, but yeah, absolutely, man. It's and yeah, like you said, ground up construction has been one of the biggest right now that we're seeing a huge push. A lot of the investors in a lot of markets are seeing how much ground up construction is really you're able to capitalize really well, and gain
Yeah.
the best out of ground up. So we have a lot of we have a lot of good loan programs with that as well that we're excited about. And so I actually approved 6 today. So hopefully we'll get that one rolling the next couple weeks for new construction in North Carolina. I think North Carolina is huge for new construction.
Oh God. Oh my God. Yeah. Like I'm putting one in that is up in Winston-Salem. So it's like,
I've done 6 there.
Recently. It's crazy. And it's not just one part. It's not just one area in North Carolina. It's, Charlotte is booming, even though it's more expensive here. But if someone's trying to get more for their money, they're looking at the Winston-Salems and the smaller markets, so to speak, than Charlotte. But Raleigh and Durham are pretty close to Charlotte now in cost and everything like that. So I wouldn't even consider them, even though there's still tons of opportunity. There's plenty of land and there's plenty of lots. You just got to have, more money to put in the game in those areas like Charlotte and Raleigh, just because the prices are higher for the land, and construction. So, but I mean, there's plenty of other areas in Charlotte, in different states. You just got to find them and take advantage of it. And if you feel comfortable with it, do it.
For sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, man, I feel like we skipped a big important part of the show, man. And
my favorite part?
What happened, Ken? Come on, man.
Yeah, man. No, so I'll go first.
All right, so everybody, whoever doesn't know, just in case, we every single Friday, obviously on the REI Happy Hour, not only do we talk about our topic, our guest, but we have to talk about what we're drinking. And in this case, Ken, start it off, man. What are you drinking?
I'll take it over. Yeah, and before I say what I'm drinking, you can see I've already drank a few sips of it, but I'm a little rusty because we haven't done this in 2 weeks. So it's like, if I say my bad a couple times, it's just I got to get back in the groove. But anyways, so that being said, I'm just drinking a simple Jack and Coke and keeping it simple. And
no lime.
Oh, well, Diet Coke. I didn't have limes in the office, man. So I shouldn't even probably be drinking Jack in the office, but
Right, exactly. You're like, I don't got limes, but I do got Jack.
Well, I'm doing it. So, but no limes. I didn't have limes. There's no limes in in the break room. There was no limes. So,
I kept it really simple. And I did have some limes, but they're not too bad. But Corona Familiar, just kept it real simple. It's kind of like
that's actually my favorite Corona.
It is, absolutely, yeah. If by anything, I'll go to. I'm looking for a place where they have Corona Familiar draft. That I would really be. I'm pretty sure that tastes really good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I don't think I've seen it. No one I've ever seen that.
Nice little California. Shout out to California.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Mug. So
yeah, now you're gonna make me look. Every time I go to a place, I'm gonna see if they have.
No, I haven't seen it.
I don't think they have it on draft.
No, I haven't seen it. I wish, I could. Somebody be like, "Oh, we got draft here." I'm like, "Oh, it'd be nice."
The only way you'll know, how you'll know, the next time you go to a liquor store. If your liquor store, do you have Total Wines? You have Total Wines on there, right? And we don't have sponsors. We should start taking sponsorships. I think. If you go to your Total Wine, ask them if they can get that in a keg. If they can get it in a keg. If they could get it in a keg, that means they have it on draft because that's what bars have. So that's how you know. If they say they can't get it, most likely they don't do it.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to have to take a look at that.
Ask them. Be like, hey, do you have that on draft in kegs? And if they say they can order it or they have it, that means there's got to be a bar out there that has it on draft.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right. So today, ladies and gentlemen, also feel free. Please let us know in the chat what you're drinking as well. Any questions you have, any topics you would like us to cover in the next couple weeks for REI Happy Hour, let us know as well. We would love to share them with here live with you guys. So the topic we're going to be talking about today is a hot topic. The reason why it's a hot topic, and it's a very important topic to know, is for all investors when you are analyzing a property, the importance of sales comparison approach. So we're going to talk about what does that mean, what and how does that kind of mix in with your using an appraisal, and the importance of it, right? So we're going to touch a lot of uh, keys, like a lot of pointers that is important to know when analyzing a property and looking for some good comparisons, some good comparables for your property. This way, for sure you have yourself a good property that's going to give you a good investment return of investment, that the numbers are going to work, and then for the hard money lender, the prime money lender, it's going to work out for them as well. Absolutely, because that's going to be a key in regards for your numbers and your loan amount to actually get approved. Um, we can tell you how many times. I mean, I lose count of how many times a week I get a property and I have to deny it because of the comparison. The comparables are not there, right?
Yeah.
So, what does the sales comparison approach mean, and how is it going to be important for you as an investor? Do you want to start it off first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
All right. So, for your sales comparison approach, ladies and gentlemen, very important that you know your market. Okay, tons of people that call us all the time in regards to a new deal they found on Facebook. Okay, where's the deal at? Oh, it's in X state, North Carolina. Okay, awesome. So where you live, how far are you from the? Well, I'm on the other side. I'm on the West Coast. I'm like, okay, all right. So you've lived in North Carolina. You just moved to the West Coast, right? No, no, no. I found this on Facebook. I mean, it's like it's $100,000 house. I mean, you cannot beat that. And I'm like, okay. So again, the importance of having to go through this sales comparison approach, right? Which is looking into what's the market in the area. Look at the properties, the comparables of the recently sold properties that are very similar to that property, to make sure your future value in that property is going to make sense for what needs to get done to the property and for how much you're buying. So this method is very important, to get your ARV, to make sure you get a more, and obviously it's not like you can't get an ARV right at the dollar amount, right? But yet something that's very, very similar to what the lender's going to come up with all the people that are professionals in the business are going to come up with, which is going to be your appraisers, which is going to be your lender, to make sure you're close to that number. Because when you submit a deal and your numbers are off with especially your property that your ARV is going to be completely off, then the numbers are not going to make sense, and the loan cannot be approved. So, and we're going to talk about what's important to look at. Okay, what's important to look at when you are looking at a property and comparing it to all these properties and which properties to compare it to, which type of properties to compare it to. What's the details to each property you need to know to compare it to that one. If you understand this, believe me, you're going to be very successful in this business. Very successful in this business. But you need to make sure that you know exactly your market. You know exactly where you need to look into. And also, at the same time, we're going to talk about this. There's going to be something important that you also need to know from your realtor that you need to ask for to get that help you need to make sure you're getting yourself a good deal. Again, REI happy hour. We just don't get here just to drink. Well, I
I
mean,
do. So
I hope. But the most importantly is to try to throw in some good gems for you guys, to make sure you continue to go the right way. All right, so let's start off with a few of the key factors that you need to look into. Your most common characteristics of a comparable property to make sure that
Freezing.
you get what. For example, did I just freeze? Am I?
Yeah, for a
Oh,
minute.
what's going on here? Okay, I'm good now. Okay, cool. Good. All right.
Yeah, you're good now.
All right. So we're gonna touch first in regards to location and neighborhood. Okay. So when you look at a property and you look at where is it located, take a look at the neighborhood. Take a look at the properties that are in that same vicinity. You know how many times they get a property and then the comparables are like literally a mile and a half away, 2 miles away? That's not gonna work out. Why?
Yep.
Each neighborhood is gonna be different. I don't know
Correct.
how it is in North Carolina, but here in Atlanta,
Oh,
this is huge. Like if you find a house, um, let's say on one block, you can literally jump cross the main road to another block, and the houses are like 2 times the price. I don't know if you
yeah.
have neighborhoods like that over there.
Yes, definitely. I mean,
Right.
there's this. I don't even know what you because we've moved down here recently. Forgive me if anyone's listening that's from Charlotte. I probably won't say this the right way, but it's like I'm just going to use the word wards. There's different wards, and it's like you could be literally across the street, and it changes because that's considered a different ward / neighborhood. The pricing is completely different, and don't factor in. Not to take away from everything you're saying. If you're going to say this, I apologize. Like not just that, you gotta think about schools and all those other things. Like that's all stuff you should research because if it's in a good school, if that school is ranked really good, you could bet your you know what that the value is going to be different.
Nobody's gonna help out as much. Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, and if you think about, you know, what's the distance I should go to? Okay, try to go to half a mile, maybe a mile, right?
Wow.
Just to try to get out of the actual neighborhood you're in. When you're looking for those comparables, right? Don't look for one that's in a. It's, you know, a lot of people tell me what's the same in the same town. Well, in the same town, it can change a lot, neighborhood per neighborhood. So that's what we're saying. You know, try to keep yourself in the same location and neighborhood, half a mile to a mile radius, um, to make sure that those are going to be your good comparables. What happens with that? It's not, you know, there's nothing in that neighborhood located in that neighborhood where it's sold in the past 6 months to a year, which I know you're going to talk about that, but um, just you go a little bit more further, but just try to stay within the same neighborhood. Again, how is the only way you can do this? One is having a realtor that's going to really help you out and is going to really give you the help you need because they know the market, they know those neighborhoods, or yourself knowing the neighborhood, drive them, you know, drive the neighborhood. It's like, I'm like, okay, cool. This is actually that neighborhood that's about like, you know, a mile point two away. It's very similar to this one. The price points are pretty similar. The houses look almost the same. Let me use this one if there's nothing on that side where it's closer to the property. So location, neighborhood, key. Next, Ken.
Oh, before I go into that, I'll tell you with this topic here, we're talking about location, right? But you got to think of what kind of area you're in too. If you're in a very dense area, like a inner city, like a Baltimore, we're saying a half a mile, but when you get into areas like that, it could be the next street.
Oh yeah,
one street, like it could be literally you could throw a rock over a house, and that next street value is completely different because they won't take the comps from that other street because they know that the houses are already remodeled and they whatever it could be. It could literally get that specific, and that's why you'll see a lot of lenders. We are not one of them because we do lend in inner cities and stuff, but there are tons of lenders out there that won't touch cities like Baltimore and other areas because they don't trust the comps. So to keep that in mind too, that is a huge factor too. So if you're looking at stuff in inner cities like Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Detroit, and all the other cities across the United States, like you got to be very careful because you might see something right across the street on another block, the next block over, and they might not accept that. So just you got to be
Absolutely.
very careful when you get into that type of stuff. But that being said, what I want to talk about is recently sold. So Danny touched on it briefly, but this is a huge thing. So when I get this all the time, I like to use examples. When I ask my clients for comps, I will specifically give them the criteria that I'll say we need strong comps, and I will literally put and highlight what a strong comp is. So the biggest mistake I see when people send comps to me is they're not sold. Believe it or not, because when we have some clients, right, that they might not have a realtor, or they just go on Zillow, or they go basic stuff. Maybe it's just a mistake on their part. They're not looking. They're just seeing the value and they're sending it over. But it has to be sold. We are not going to take comps that are on the market. And the reason for that is we all know the market can change overnight, right? So they might be, up there for 300, but for some reason, if there's a dip in the market the next week, or it could be down, down 10,000 or 15,000. So, or even more. Hopefully we don't have a crash or anything like we drop that quickly, but you know what I mean? So that's why we do not take on the market comps. They have to be sold. And the big thing with sold is we're going to look at 6 months. We would like to see 3 months or less, but we will expand to 6 months of those comps. And the reason is because we're trying to get, pretty much like I just said with the if it's on the market, is we're trying to find something that's as close as possible in the timing to give the most accurate value. Okay. And to do that, the closer you can find those solds, the better. So if you end up getting a realtor, or you're looking yourself, but like say you have a realtor, like ask them, like, hey, I want the most current comparisons that are sold. So if there's ones that were sold last week, you want those. Those are going to be the best for you, right? Because they're so soon. Now, you could be in a more, less populated, I don't like to say rural, but an area where it's more spread out, where you're not, you don't have that luxury of having a lot of solds because the population is less. So you're going to have to stretch it to 3 to 6 months because the inventory is a lot less. But you want to stay under that, no matter what, you want to stay under that six months. So timing is huge. And the reason why, it's like anything else, the market changes all the time. And for us as a financial institute, we're going to feel comfortable in that grace period of 6 months, because we know we're going to get the closest and most accurate value that we could possibly get. Again, this appraisal and comps, it's not 100%. We're just trying to minimize risk as much as possible, and to do that, So that's why we're doing it. And everything we're saying, I know we're looking through the eyes as a financial lending institute, right? But this should be the same standards you have as an investor. You should look at it, and that's why we do these podcasts, because we want you to know how we think of a deal, or how we think of different subjects out there. We want you to do the same thing, because the only thing it's going to do is help you, right? And it's going to help you be able to analyze a deal. And and I don't care if you're going to pay cash for it. You should still analyze it the same way. Yeah. Even if you're not going to use a lender, you should be taking what we say and what we're doing and the way we think and analyze stuff and use it for yourself. So, but yeah, I mean, it's really straightforward. Not a ton to talk about. Timing is just, it's really what I said. It's, you want to stay under 6 months.
And you have to think about it. Like, once you have a property, and you got your hands on a property, you're fixing it up. You're in that phase of the rehabbing of the property. I mean, you're gonna be done with it with let's say 2 to 3 months. So that means that your comparison, that comparable you had on that property that was sold 6 months ago, is now 9 months old.
Yep.
So now
good point.
You're trying to make sure that your property is going to be able to still keep that value as similar to that property 9 months ago that's right in front of your house. And that's why, as a financial institution, less risk is keeping that 6 months. Because let's say, the property, the comps I found was 10 months ago. It's still within the year. Yeah, but that means that you're now stretching your ARV to to compare that to almost 13 months by the time you're done with the property and you put it on the market. So much can happen within that year in the market, right? So
Wow.
again, this is just to kind of break it down, to understand the reason why behind it. And I think it's very important for you to get to know why, and it would just help out so much more to make sure that you do have some good numbers for each investment property. All right, so another important. There goes my AirPods. Another important part of this, as long as it's not the camera like the first time.
I know, God. We got to re-show that at one point. I wish we had. I wish we had the technology. Maybe we do. Where we could, when we start talking about something, they can like find it really quickly, like they do on the radio with sounds, and then just like pop it on the screen really quick. Show. That'd be fun.
For people that don't know, our first show, like the number one first time we started this, we literally, well, in my case, my camera literally just falls down, and we're trying to like make it seem like nothing happened, but I mean, pretty visible.
Yeah, but the funny that wasn't the funny part about it. When it fell, it looked like, I don't know how it ended up doing this, but on the screen, it looked like Danny flew away, like literally flew away. It was hilarious. It looked like he literally, it was like a cartoon. He literally.
It was all part of it. It was all part of it. So the third thing we need to look into, when we're looking at, we're using this sales comparison approach, for your properties, for your investment properties. Again, we're talking about fix and flips. I mean, it can apply as well, obviously, for your fix and holds. But this is really huge for your fix and flips, right? Your features of the property. And I think this is something huge where over and over I see how important it is to have a good realtor, investor friendly, that knows the market, because they're the ones that can really, really guide you the best way. And if I'm not wrong, Maria was on here a couple of weeks ago, and she actually spoke about this. But the features of the property. What do you want to look in? What do you want to look at from your property in comparison to those other comparables? How many bedrooms? How many baths? Does it have a garage attached, detached? What's the square footage of it? What's the lot size of it? Is it a ranch, or is it a 2-story house? What type of the structure of it? Is it siding? Is it just brick? There's so many details and features of the property that you want to take in consideration when you're comparing it to a house. It's like, okay, actually, let me get into that, because you're going to talk about that next. But which Ken is going to talk about age and condition. But the importance of you not looking at a property, at your comparisons, and be like, oh well, this one doesn't have a mine doesn't have a garage. But why are you using a comparison that does have a garage? Like, that's gonna make a difference, Yep. Let's say your house right now is a 2-1, and you're gonna do your rehab to convert it into a 3-2. Then look for properties that are 3-2. That's very helpful. You don't know how many times I've had to save a deal that way, where they have sent everything in as a 2-1, and I'm like, why is the ARV not coming up? Well, because the small little detail of them making it into a 3-2 was not there. So that made a huge difference, right? So the square footage, if one house is 1,000 square feet, and yours is 1,800 square feet, that's not a good comparison whatsoever.
Yeah.
If yours is a single family home ranch house and your comparison is a townhouse, really bad comparison. It's never going to be. It's very important for the features to match, and a little bit going a little bit more into detail with the feature. And I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. When you look at your property, what are you putting into the property that did I freeze again? I froze again.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, am I freezing? Am I freezing?
Yeah. Oh, now you're getting better. Yeah, you're good. You're good. I think.
So, what's going? I have no idea what's going on. Oh my god, everything's happening today. So if by any chance there's a property that you use it as a comparison, make sure to use some of those features, especially if it was a good property that sold at a great price. Use the features to your property. Make sure that it's included in your scope of work. This property that sold for $400,000 had a kitchen island. Yours don't. What are you gonna do? Put a kitchen island. Because that's what is actually selling in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
That is what's giving you a good price on it. Different features of a property is very important to include in yours, as well as features that is not going to do anything for you. If you have a house, if you have a lot of comparables in the area, where you see that most of the comparables are at a good price point, and there are three bedrooms, 2 baths. But you're like, you know what? I want to make some more money on this property. I'm gonna do a 4-2 or 4-3. Okay, where's the comparables to that though? Yeah. No, there's no comparables. But I mean, it's gonna be a lot more bigger. I'm gonna get a lot more money out of this. No, you're not. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna say you're not, but you're adding more of a risk to your rehab, because again, a lot has to do with your comparables. Once you sell the property, again, that realtor, that finance institution for that buyer is gonna go based on the comparables. If the comparables not there, you're gonna lose money because you just put a whole bunch of rehabbing onto that property that wasn't used at all. Yeah. Wasn't given the value that it needs to. So features, very important to include that on each time you're looking at your comparables to make sure apples to apples, as much as possible, which within that goes into the age and condition of the property.
Yeah, and I'll say just to piggyback really quick, like especially like if you're going to sell the house, if you're fixing and flipping it, you could. I don't like to use the word cutting corners, but if you want to save a little money on stuff and you're going to hold it, if your exit strategy is to hold, you could probably get away with it, right? Because for renting a property, it's got to be livable. Right. So if that's your exit strategy, you could probably you could maybe save a little bit of money on what kind of fridge you put in, right? Or something like that. But if you're going to sell it, you need, especially if the inventory is high and the market's hot and there's tons of competition out there, you got to be able to make your house sellable. Like it's got to be something that someone wants to buy. So let's keep that in mind. But anyway, I just want to put that in there. But yeah, what I'm going to talk about is just age and conditions. Obviously, condition. We're investors, right? The condition of the house you're buying is probably not in that good a shape, unless you're buying turnkey and rent out. But for the most part, most of our clients are BRRRR method clients. They're buying a house that needs a lot of work at a low cost, to save money and then to rehab it and then either rent it or sell it out. So the condition is obviously probably not going to be that good. But I want to talk a little bit about age because I get this all the time. Like I said, I like to use examples, and it wasn't that long ago. I learned from this too because I was fairly new at the time. And, I had a loan deal. Everything was working good. I mean, everything looked great. She sent me comps. I looked at the comps. I was like, wow, these comps are good. The area was a little bit low in population, but I was able to, work things out. But guess what happened? We got the appraisal. appraisal came back, not even a little bit. It came back like almost $100,000 less. And I couldn't get it. I was mad. I was beating the desk, making calls, pissed off. And the bottom line is I'm like, this is wrong. This can't be. Look at these comps, da 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 da. And the bottom line was, it was the age difference in the house. And people sometimes don't look at that. You have to look at that. Like, for example, I had comps. I had older, she gave me older comps too, but the older comps were actually a little bit over that mile. Like we said, it was, you know, you don't want to be too far. It was just a tad over a mile. So they weren't feeling comfortable. Underwriters weren't feeling comfortable with that. And the appraiser, the appraiser, you know, the appraiser used them, but the appraiser isn't the same what the bank looks at, right? The bank is separate. So the way they look at stuff is going to be different. So the appraiser put comps on there that were further out, but the bank's like, nope. Lender's like, nah, it's too far out. So they're not going to consider that. But anyways, so there was a bunch of houses that were in there that were above the value that we were looking for by a little bit. Right around the same square footage, same amount of bedroom and bath, everything. Probably about within 10-year-old homes. So fairly new homes. The house that we were looking at had more square footage. That was my client's, but it was built in 1930. And yeah, she was gonna pretty much gut the whole thing. Like, it was gonna look like a brand new house. But that doesn't matter, right? If the foundation and the frame, like it's still there, it doesn't matter. And that in itself hurt the deal. So if you're buying a house, right, and you're looking at it and it's an older home, keep age in mind. Age is a big deal. It could really change what the comps come back at because of that. So always keep that in mind, especially going back to like we said, everything we've talked about so far, they all kind of meld together. They all kind of come together and work together. So like if you're in an area with less population, more spread out, that's going to be even more of a factor. So it all depends on the scenario. But when it comes down to it, age is a huge deal. And if you're buying a house from the 1950s and your comps, our house is built in 2005. Probably, even though everything else looks the same, and you know what that house is going to look like when it's done, right? You know it's going to be this beautiful house. It's going to look new, right? It's going to have new siding, maybe new roof. It's going to have new appliances. The whole inside is going to be new. But that house is still built in 1950, right? And that's not going to change. So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at comps, and when if you have an agent, okay, you have to make sure that they know that, like, hey, the age of the properties need to be something. They don't have to be like really, really close, but they need to be not 50 years different. Yeah. You know what I mean? So age is a huge thing for that. So you got to always keep that in mind. Like I said, condition, obviously the condition of the house, we're not appraising ourselves as a financial institute. We're not appraising off the current condition. We're looking at the ARV, so we're looking at the scope of work. We're looking at what's going to be done to that house, and the appraiser is pretty much putting a picture in their head and imagining that house is going to be. What's that?
Unless the scope of work is like a half decent job to the property and it looks bad, then you're not going to get those comparables that you thought you were going to get. So,
yeah. No, you're right.
But again, we'll guide them to that.
Now, if you're buying a turnkey and you're looking to just buy homes or rent them out, condition is a huge deal, right? Like you got to make sure that everything is up to date, because at that point you don't want to spend a lot of money, if any money really. You're really looking to buy that house and rent it as fast as possible. So you're almost looking at the eyes of you were buying your own home. Right at that point, like if you're going to buy a house for yourself, that's how you should be looking for a house, that you're just looking for a turnkey and rent out right away and don't want to put any work into it, maybe other than just cleaning it, right? So then condition is a huge thing. And then age would be a huge part in that aspect too, because obviously older homes have more problems, and you don't know, even with an inspector coming in, if you went that route. And most investors, let's be real, is not necessarily getting an inspector. They're having an appraisal done, but they're not getting an inspector. So when you're buying a house that is aged more, you don't know what's going on behind those walls. You don't know you don't know how old the pipes are, right? You don't know if there's any electrical issues behind the wall. Like, there's just so many things that could be issues. So age is a big deal. And you got to be ready for that, especially if you're going to buy a house and just turnkey it. Even if someone they're advertising, oh, just remodeled, right? I just came in, this house completely remodeled, selling it for a price. Okay, yeah, they probably did most likely aesthetic changes. They probably didn't take it down to the studs. They probably didn't take it down to the joists. They probably didn't do anything. So there's all those issues that would have been there prior that are not seen could still all be there. So you got to keep that in mind.
For sure. I absolutely, man. For anybody who's joining us, we are here on Happy Hour, real estate investment happy hour, REI happy hour. We're talking about the sales comparison approach, the importance of it, how you can actually maximize your return on investment when you focus on the most important things of your numbers, of your when you're evaluating your each deal, to make sure that you're gonna be able to get a good return on investment. Let us know where you're listening from. Thank you, everybody that's on YouTube. I see Roberto Campos. I think that's my dad on YouTube. Shout out to my dad.
Hey, we got a YouTube view.
With a thumbs up. So we're out here, and we just covered when it comes to looking at these comps, location, neighborhood. When they were recently sold, how far out you need to look for them, the features and age and condition of them. That's going to be what you want to focus on, right? There's a few more details that you just want to kind of, once you're kind of doing this, again, using the sales comparison approach, there's a few steps you want to take. Identify the property, you select your comparables, collect the data you need to make sure you get the right comparables. If you need to make adjustments to your property, to your scope of work, make the adjustments. And then finally, just make sure you get all your numbers right. Once you have noted what's going to be all the numbers that your investment is gonna create for you, then you can then find out how much is going to be your return on investment. But without really doing your evaluation, making sure you have the right realtors with you, right, have the right lender that's going to guide you, it's going to be very difficult for you to get to that point. But there is so much help out there that we need to take advantage to make sure you do get the right numbers for each property you're looking at. But that's about it, man. I mean, I don't know if you wanted to include anything else.
What's that? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's it on my side. I mean, I don't know if you wanted to.
No, man, I think we covered everything. So yeah, I mean, what you said at the end is right. You got to have the realtors and everyone, a team of people that you feel comfortable with. It's a lot easier to achieve a goal with a group of people than one person alone. So you need to build that team. You need to have people that you trust to be able to help you analyze, to be able to help you do everything that you need to do, the estimates, the good contractor, the real estate agent, all that, like Danny says. So that's really it. There's only so much you could talk about when it comes to this topic, but I think we wanted to cover it. We have this conversation with our clients every day, and it's something we wanted to share. So,
okay, perfect. All right, thank you everybody for joining us. REI Happy Hour every single Friday. We try to do every single Friday. We sometimes have some bumps on the road, but yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. If you're going to watch this later on, thank you for watching this. Again, we're trying to just bring some real good topics for you guys in regards to investing in real estate at the same time while we have a drink.
Yeah. Oh, before we get off, a little sports. So, are you following the March Madness at all?
I am sort of. I just keep on. I mean, I love watching it. I'm not that much of a big bracket guy. You know,
Yeah. Oh,
to
really?
be able to follow it
Yeah, I mean, I haven't
as
been
much.
that much this year. I didn't know if you had a favorite. Like, I was going for North Carolina, but they lost to Alabama last night. So,
Oh, did they? Oh,
so
wow.
I know I'm just gonna say.
I know it's been a crazy year though. Like a lot of the teams where they expected them to be, get into the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, they're not getting there.
Well, Elite Eight, yeah. I mean, there was two pretty big upsets. Arizona and North Carolina lost. So I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the bandwagon guy. I'm gonna root for UConn, who's the number 1 seed. I'm going with them.
UConn is in Connecticut, right?
Yeah. They're old school Big East. I'm from the '90s when the
that
Big
is
East
an old school right there.
Yeah, they
They are.
I think there's a couple other Big East schools that are still in, but yeah. So I'm just gonna root for them, even though they're most likely going to win it. But whatever. But anyways, just want to talk a little sports before we got off of that. All right. Nice. Sorry, guys. Sorry
that was a good point.
All right. Anyways, everybody have a good weekend.
What I'm happy about is
the Yankees when they're
we'll be in back.
How many games are there to see? Like 160?
I know.
You got a long way to go, brother. No, I grew up a Yankees fan. I haven't followed baseball that much. Coming to DC and living in DC for so long and watching the Nationals start their program from scratch and paying attention to the farm leagues and all that, I grew a really big heart for them. And I always rooted for the Nationals, but I grew up a Yankees fan. So, and someone always asked me, what would you do if they went to the World Series together? And I said, honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I would root for the Nationals just because the Yankees have won it a gazillion times, and it would be cool to see the Nats win it. So that was my reasoning then, but now they won one, so it would be interesting. That would have been like a first-time deal. It would be interesting to see if they won it now, where my heart would actually lie. I don't even know. I can't tell you.
Astros, man. Just so tired of the Astros.
Oh, I hate the Astros. It's like one of the
Dodgers.
It's the Astros.
The Dodgers, right?
New England. I don't even want to say the New England Patriots anymore because they're terrible. But it was New England Patriots. But I would say the Dallas Cowboys, the Houston Astros.
We call it Texas, man.
and then in basketball, the Lakers are the only team I really hate in basketball.
Oh God, another one.
It's always everything's about the Lakers. It's like get over it.
Exactly.
Whatever. Like, those are the 3 teams I don't want to hear about. Forget about.
Guys, thank you very much for REI ESPN Happy Hour. This is how we do it. We cover it all.
We're covering it all today.
We cover it all.
It's happy hour, man. You got to put it.
It's happy hour. We talk about sports. And some real estate, of course.
All right.
All right, guys. This was a pleasure.
All right.